It's a spin class sponsored by Seasoned Supermarkets, and we are moving on to our next segment. We're going to move back to New York after that brief sojourn in New Jersey, and we have blogger Jacob Kornbluh with us. And Jacob has a blog, NewYorkNYMayor.blogspot.com. Did I get that right, Jacob?
Yes, you did, Michael. It's great to be on.
So you are covering pretty much all aspects of the mayor's race from a Jewish perspective, or even non-Jewish perspective, all perspectives, I should say. You're also covering the 48th Council District race. So tell me why right now the 40th Council District in southern Brooklyn deserves its own coverage from an esteemed blogger like yourself.
Well, any blogger that wants to gain traction has to focus on the races which make the most noise. And unfortunately, we will be having a mayoral race, but it will be focused more on the general public. In Brooklyn, we don't have this year a competitive race in Borough Park, if you may. Councilman Greenfield is running unopposed, so there's nothing really.
Well, nobody's petitioned yet, right? So we don't really know if he's going to be unopposed, do we?
As of now, he has the conservative line regardless.
Okay. So I see.
I mean, if a Republican most probably won't run against him unless he's primaried in a Democratic primary. We obviously know the outcome of that primary. The 48th district is kind of exciting because you have 3 or 4 Russians running in a district that has around 60% or more Russian voters. That's not necessarily only in the primary. However, you have as of now, one announced candidate, an Orthodox candidate running. If the Russians split their vote, he might come out victorious. However, going on to the general election, if he's faced with a Republican Russian candidate, most probably David Sorovin, he's likely to lose. So it will be an interesting primary to look out for, and it will be interesting if the Orthodox Jew comes out victorious, how he will best in the general election.
Very interesting. So let's just get a little more general right now. We're talking about the mayor's race, and we'll focus on the 40th Council District at a future time, and hopefully get some of the candidates on. I think that it's going to be a very interesting race, and I think that's an interesting perspective. We'll divide the Russian vote, and so an Orthodox person can sneak in there, which is kind of different than we've seen in the past, of kind of divide the vote, so the Orthodox vote, or divide the one ethnicity's vote, so that somebody else can sneak in there. But in this case, they're all Jewish. But I also want to open up the phone lines, 212-529-4620, 212-529-4620. Anybody want to call in, talk about politics and all we've mentioned so far? So, Jacob, tell us what's going on in the mayor's race. Anthony Weiner, is he upsetting the apple cart here? His potential presence, looming over the race?
He's definitely biting the apple. He's definitely creating some of the candidates ought to be nervous of his entry. He's definitely running. There's no question about it. Some say that his current attitude, the one-on-one hand-picked interviews in which he seems to be sorry and apologize 50 times for his misconduct, is not the Anthony Weiner his base is actually anticipating for. So the Anthony Weiner we know from Congress 2-3 years ago, he has enthused base. He can bring out voters. If he manages to basically hold Christine Quinn below 30%, all the candidates split the vote around 15%, and he ekes out another additional percent by a good get-out-the-vote effort or a sympathy vote. If he manages to do that, he goes head-to-head against Christine Quinn in a runoff. And in a runoff, it will be an interesting situation to look whether all the candidates will unite with Anthony Weiner against Christine Quinn, or will they unite with Christine Quinn knowing she's going to win and another 8 years of Christine Quinn, while Anthony Weiner could lose to either Joe Loder or John Katsimatidis, And in another 4 years, there's another opportunity, an opening for either of the candidates.
Talk about Jewish outreach for a second. You've been following the Jewish outreach from each of the candidates quite a bit on your blog and posting some interesting stuff. Talk about the Jewish outreach of the candidates. What are they doing? What are they not doing? What are they doing smart? What smart things are they doing, and what not so smart things are they doing?
I would say Christine Quinn is, we know, as a matter of fact, she is planning to do some outreach within the Orthodox Jewish community. I mean, the overall Jewish community, she is doing right now in the polls. If you measure the race with Anthony Weiner, she splits the vote. She gets 22%. Anthony Weiner gets 21%. However, with Anthony Weiner out of the race, she gets around 25, 27% of the overall Jewish vote. However, when you talk about Orthodox Jewish vote, Bill de Blasio and Bill Thompson are currently leading the pack. Christine Quinn hopes for a 10% chunk of that vote, enough to split the vote so it won't help either of the candidates, in inching up towards a runoff. Bill Thompson seems to be sleeping. I've covered a lot of events.
Wait, Jacob, hold on. Sleeping. The New York Times profiled Bill Thompson and his relationship with the Jewish community and said that he has pretty much the best relationship with the Brooklyn Jewish community of any candidate. So what do you mean he's sleeping?
He might have a good relationship with the rank and file, but as you know, Michael, these times are different. Voters are actually tuning in. Voters are actually independently voicing their opinion. And when you don't hear from a candidate, when the candidate is never seen at Jewish events because he's, of course, if he's profiled that he has already the relationship with the Jewish community, it's sort of taking every vote for granted, while Bill de Blasio, John Liu, I think, won't miss any event if it's 20 people in the room, up to 5,000 people. So they're basically reaching out. We know they're not spending money yet because it's still too early. Any money is spent towards hiring the best campaign managers or spokespeople or fighting the other candidates. So the money is not being driven into the race right now, other than John Katsimatidis that's planned a totally different plan. He's working on two fronts. He's working on winning the GOP primary, which we don't know if he'll be successful, and he's already looking forward to winning the general, reaching out to potential voters.
So, Jacob, we have a caller on the line. Moshe from Brooklyn is telling me that Eric Salgado should be the candidate of the Jewish community. Moshe?
Michael, good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so Eric Salgado. Tell us why Eric Salgado is the man of the hour.
Okay. The reason why Eric Salgado is, here's what I believe is happening right now. The chances of Chris Quinn being the next mayor is very big. And the second that the runner-off, whether it's going to be Bill de Blasio or Bill Thompson, is still up in the air, although I believe that Bill Thompson is going to be ahead of Bill de Blasio at the end. The Jewish community's vote in bringing in the second person in the runoff or winning the runoff is going to be a big deal. A guy like Eric Salgado that could garnish 60 to 70% of the Hispanic votes, that will be a big chunk. And if he could create a coalition between Orthodox Jews and some conservative Democrats together, if they would go out and they would make a deal with the person in the runoff, saying the only way we will support you is by giving us this and this, there is a big chance that he will be able to swing who will win the runoff. So why go out now, all these people that are together with Bill de Blasio, which the chances that he should become mayor is slim, or going out with Bill Thompson, and we don't know, his whole campaign is sleeping, or coming out, even though they would support Chris Quinn, but they will not come out in public and do that. because of the situation of her personal lifestyle. If they would all go out with Eric Salgado and they will create that he should have a nice percentage of the voters, and it's going to come down to the runoff that he will be able to make a deal and bring real numbers. What is the Orthodox Jewish community in New York compared to the Hispanic community? If a guy like this could bring real numbers to a campaign...
Okay, Moshe, we understand the strategy, and thank you very much for the call. Jacob, what do you make of that strategy? It's kind of an unknown strategy for winning a race.
It's not a bubble. He's living in a dreamland. I mean, come on, El Salgado's not even being polled yet right now. He had his debut presence on TV last night, and the only line from that debate everybody knows of is him suggesting that Rudy Giuliani would serve as police commissioner under his administration. I mean,
I'm sure Rudy wants that job. So, okay, look, Jacob, I tend to agree with you on that one. Let's take another voice here. We have Yossi, I believe Yossi Gestentner from Rockland County on there, or it's just Yossi from Rockland County. Yossi, you there?
Yeah. How many from Rockland do you think are listening now to your show? Tell me. How you doing, guys?
Hi, Yossi. Tell us, what's your question? What's your comment?
Regarding New York City, Bill Thompson versus Bill de Blasio, I personally have a preference for Bill Thompson. But if you are a person who's in the news, you certainly took note that the Bill de Blasio campaign is on their game, not necessarily for the Jewish community, but in general, anytime there's a news story out there, he is out with a statement, with a press release, and if you're not on his official list, you're going to get an extra email from his guys working on his campain. And this is something which I don't think you see in any other mayoral campaign. It doesn't mean anything compared to who's going to win. Well,
give us
point. Stating a fact.
Yossi, give us point number 2, because I want to get to a number of callers we have on hold.
Sure. Yeah. Point number 2 regarding East Ramapo. It's stupid to suggest that the Hasidic community here in Rockland would not care for the education of the public school children. These children are our neighbors. Do you really want that our neighbors should not have a good education? They should join gangs and rob people on the street? Are you kidding me? It's sick to say, and stupid to say. I'm not saying this is your suggestion, but this is what some detractors are out there arguing. Yeah, the Jewish community doesn't care about public school. Yeah, in our book, it doesn't need to be a public school at a charge of $22,000 a year. You can do it in a private school for half that amount. So, but to suggest that we don't care for 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 students in the public school system, are we just careless? We want them to be out there, joining gangs, being on drugs. It's a stupid suggestion. Again, we disagree with the tactics, with the price paid, with the tenure of teachers, with the fat cat contracts. This is our problem, not necessarily whether a child is educated in the public school versus a private school.
Yossi, it's an excellent point, and I think that's you really hit the nail on the head. I think what I said earlier, and I know you weren't saying specific to me, but I want to be sensitive to it, is I don't know that they need to offer, or I'm sorry, people might say I don't think they need to offer 11 languages. I'm obviously making numbers up. Maybe just offer Spanish and French as opposed to whatever. I don't know. Okay, Mandarin, or something like that, or Finnish. Let's not offer all those languages. So, let's not have 30 sports teams. We'll cut it down to just basketball and football. But Yossi, thank you very much for the comments. We're going to move to Shalom. Shalom, are you there?
Yeah, hello?
Shalom, what's your comment? Question?
Okay, my name is not Shalom, it's Shimon Gifter, but anyway.
Oh, I apologize. Shimon, how are you?
No, Baruch Hashem.
Thanks for calling in.
What I'm finding from speaking to a couple hundred people, and I'm not referring to just from people, but getting a feel, people are not as excited right now, for whatever reason, about Bill Thompson, which is very strange. For months, everyone was saying Thompson, Thompson, Thompson. Well, people are not excited about Quinn either, which is very interesting to me also. I thought, everyone would be, really, excited about her candidacy. A lot of people are leaning towards, it seems like Bill de Blasio. To me, he's coming out of nowhere. it's just very strange how it keeps on going back and forth. I don't know if it's for the things that they're saying on a weekly basis, but that's really what I'm finding right now. So.
Look, there's no question Bill de Blasio has a good history in the Jewish community. He's been on the show and certainly is an impressive guy. I think the one thing that, and he's always been very strong on constituent service. I have to say that. But I want to, the one thing I think surprising about the Bill de Blasio candidacy right now is that you would have thought that he would be the candidate of the unions, and he isn't getting that union support. And it's not going in his direction, and he certainly would have expected the Working Family Party endorsement, and I don't think it's happening either. So that's all I would say right now on that. And not to knock him, but that's my observation.
There's another observation that I have is anyone.
Okay, make it quickly. We're almost out of time.
Anyone that the public feels that is associated with what we call Bloombergianized is not going to get the votes of a lot of people, especially the Jewish community.
Well,
and people are just very fed up with Bloomberg. So, what I hear on the street is why would I vote for another person that would have the policies of Bloomberg?
So, does that work against Chris Quinn, John Catsimatidis, or Joe Loda, or all the above?
No, I think it works against Quinn big time. Just
against
for that.
Quinn.
Nothing
Okay.
Against her. It's just,
Shimon, thank you very much for the comment. Shimon, Duke, do we have anybody else on the waiting on hold? Okay, good. We're going to go to the closing statement. Jacob Kornbluh, thank you very much for joining us here on Spin Class, and we always keen insight, and perhaps we'll tackle some other issues in the coming weeks that you've written about recently. But
always a pleasure to be with you, Michael.
Thank you very much, Jacob. So.